I'm like Dracula here. Look at this.
Like the red and yellow guy, and I'm like, girl, I'm all white.
Yeah,
See, I'm like all in white. I
yeah,
love white.
you look
White
great.
is like my favorite color. It was Elvis's favorite color besides blue. And when we laid him to rest, everything was white. His suit was white. His casket was lined in white satin. Um,
Wow.
all the hearse was white. The 17 limos, 7 and 1 numerology, or 8, the number he was born under, which is huge. They were all white. So yeah, I've always been a white girl, but I mean, even before I met him, it's a very spiritual color, very elegant color. Um, so it's the clouds, it's godly, it's all of that. So
You know what? Well, hold on. I'm going to give you an introduction here. But Mindy Miller is here. Mindy is beautiful. She's lovely. And if it's your first time here, everybody, do me one favor. I want you to subscribe, hit the bell to be reminded when we come on. Don't touch that dial. All right, everybody. Welcome Mindy Miller right here. See, that was really professional. Too professional. You have a wonderful story. And you know what? Your whole story. Do you have a book? Is there a book out about you?
no, I tell you why. I mean, I'll say this, not yet. When Elvis was going through what he was going through with a certain book that was being written, which, by the way, was not written by the three guys. It was written by Steve Dunleavy. He wrote the book. The guys did not write the book. They gave an interview, and Steve Dunleavy decided to take everything that they said as far as them loving him and all that, and he made it a very negative book and made a lot of money off of it. So the fans were really not aware of what truly happened. And these three guys were chastised their whole life, which is really sad. But when Elvis was going through what he was going through, he's I was sitting on the edge of the bed in his bedroom at Graceland, and he lifted me up, and he'd been pacing back and forth, extremely upset. And he said, "Honey," he said, "promise me you will never ever write a tell-all book. You will never ever discuss our relationship and what goes on privately between a man and a woman." And I said, "Elvis, I never will." And I never have to this day. His fans, and I never say my fans because I don't believe in my fans, I feel that's very egotistical. His fans and my Facebook friends have come to me and said, you tell stories, you do Elvis events around the world, but we would like to hear more about you and write a book about your story. And of course, Elvis would be a part of that because he was a part of your life. And we know you'd never say certain things that he would not approve of. So I'm actually thinking about it. It would be my own autobiography. Not that I'm anybody, I always say I'm not Celine Dion. I'm not, Meryl Streep. I'm not somebody huge. But, I worked in the entertainment industry since I was 12. I made a good living at it. I never became huge or a household name, which is fine. I loved what I did. I enjoyed it. My parents were both in the industry, but I think there's a lot to say. And I've got some great stories about Hollywood and, people and nothing negative. I'm not a negative person in that way, but enough people have come to me. So I think maybe in the near future, it's a possibility.
I love you again. Now, the guy that you see on stage doing the kicks, the rings, and all that,
Yeah.
Elvis home, like listening to music, was he big? Was he a classical guy? Would he listen to classical music?
Yes, he
What
loved
would he listen
classical
to?
music. Oh my gosh. I mean, well, of course, I think most people know that he really liked opera. I mean, people don't realize that he really loved opera. He wasn't into groups so much
Mhm.
as he was into, like singular singers. I mean, Anne Murray, he really loved women singers. He loved men singers. He loved Roy Orbison. A lot of what he did was because of Roy Orbison with the dark hair and the glasses. Down the street, pretty woman, the kind of and Tony Curtis and all that.
Tony Curtis,
But
huh? He was a Tony Curtis fan?
oh, very much so. And Marlon Brando. And one of the reasons he did his hair jet black was because he really wanted to be an actor. And when he saw Tony Curtis with his blue eyes and his jet black hair, Elvis thought, I'm going to do my hair jet black, because his hair was kind of a mousy brown. Not that it was never, a handsome color, but that jet black against his skin tone and his blue eyes, like azure sea blue eyes,
Yeah.
made such a combination, kind of like that Elizabeth Taylor with the dark hair and the blue eyes. But oh my God, the man had over 1,000 albums, at least, maybe even 2,000 albums. And he listened to all kinds of artists. He loved it. He did not like rap. He did not like disco.
He didn't like
I
disco.
mean, well, rap wasn't around then, but he
Disco was
was,
coming in like the 70s, like the
yeah, he
hustle
wasn't
and
a disco
rock the
kind
boat.
of guy. And, you have to think that in the first place, the first thing he wanted to do was to be a gospel singer. And he tried to be a gospel singer, but nobody would take him at the time, if you can even believe that. And then all these years later, the 3 Grammys that he won were for his 3 gospel albums. And so gospel was really how he was brought up in the church. It's what he sang. And I asked him, I said, Elvis, I said, how old were you when you knew that you could sing or you wanted to sing? And he goes, 2. I went, excuse me, you were
2.
2 years old? He goes, yes.
For 5 weeks, a lot of times we'll go upstairs and sing until daylight, gospel songs. We grew up with it from the time I can remember, like 2 years old. It more or less puts your mind at ease. It does mine.
He knew he could sing at 2 years old. And he said that he would get up in the church, in the Baptist church where his mama and his daddy used to take him. And he would run up from the pew where he was sitting, and he would run up and join the singers. And he would, and he would sing. He knew he had a voice. And when he got older, he really wanted to be a gospel singer. That was his first love. So a lot of what he listened to more than anything were the gospel groups. And J.D. Sumner of the Stamps, when Elvis kind of snuck in the first time to hear him and hear the group, JD found out, and he said, did you pay to get in here? And he said, no. He said, no, sir. He said, I can't afford it. He said, well, you'll never have to worry about not being able to afford it again. He said, you'll always be my guest. And then, of course, years later, when Elvis made it big, he went right to JD and said, I want you to join me. So he and JD had a beautiful, loving, brotherly bond for years and years and years. And but I think what he listened to most was the gospel.
Was the gospel at home?
Yeah.
Was there a song that would touch his heart, get him sad, or think about his mother? Like, something that he ever stopped him in tracks? Like, oh, that was
I
nice.
never asked him. I mean, he did speak of his mother briefly. He was extremely quiet about certain things. He had to be in a mood to talk about things. So I would always kind of gauge his mood as to, what I could ask him or what we could talk
Hmm.
about. So I would usually let him bring up certain conversations. But, I never asked him like if he had a favorite song. I know that he did, but I never personally asked him that.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, when we would go to sleep at night, whether it would be on tour or at his house or one of his other houses, whether it's Palm Springs or LA, he would love to sing a Roberta Flack song. And I've heard this from another girlfriend of his, that he loved to harmonize. And we did that. He loved to harmonize, and he'd sing, the first time ever I saw your face. And we used to harmonize and sing ourselves to sleep like that.
First time
And he would sing in the car. He loved to sing in the car, and we would harmonize in the car if he was driving. But I can't say that he had a favorite song. I know, again, he loved his gospel songs. I know my favorite gospel songs, and the trilogy. And I mean, I cry when I play his gospel songs. I'll be driving in the car and I'll put on, one of the gospel albums or just different gospel songs, and I'll sing along with them, and I think back to him, and I get so, reminiscent, and I start to cry sometimes because it's overwhelming,
Well, his
you know.
voice is just even. I know, Elvis had his ups and downs with his weight, but the one thing he never lost, and you could go on YouTube and watch these videos of him doing like Unchained Melody, and he's doing
Mm.
at the piano. There's another track, and his voice is just always there, never went away,
His
never,
voice never failed him. Never,
always there.
never, always there. And this was the gift. This was his gift from God. He had many gifts, but I think truly his number one gift was his voice and his ability to get across to people and the public to make you feel. I mean, when a person sings, you want to feel what they're singing. They're telling a story through song. And this is why music and singing is so universal and brings people together. And I cannot even begin to tell you the thousands of people I have met because of Elvis. He has brought so many people together. I mean, you and I wouldn't even be talking,
No, no.
had it not been for Elvis Presley. And, I have to say honestly that, still to this day, people say to me, well, what do you think he would have done because he was sick and, would he have taken off? And he had planned to take off for some time and get better and work on his health, etc. I don't think now it's only my opinion. I'm not speaking for Elvis or anybody else, and I would never attempt to. But I personally think that um, he could have still very easily, I think, recorded. He could have gone in the studio, or he could have, as he did on his, one of his albums, recorded in the Den, which was the I call it the zoo room because every time I walked in there, he had all the animals and all the things there, but it was, um, the jungle room. But I called it the zoo room. But he could have easily kept recording. I don't think he would have been able to continue in that time touring. I think it had gotten to be too much, and nobody works that hard these days. The Colonel pushed him and pushed him, and he did want to go out. He wanted to make the money. He was buying people houses and cars, and his daddy kept saying, Elvis, you can't keep spending the money like this, because they never had it. So his daddy was very, very frugal, and Elvis said, hey, it's my money, I can do with it what I want. um and he said, Daddy, I can always go out on tour. I can always go tour. But I think toward the end, I don't think he could have kept that up. But he could have recorded, and he could have still made hit records. That I truly believe, because of that voice. And he only got better.
He really
He only
did.
got better. His voice, his last concert, as difficult as it is for me to watch, when he sat at that piano, oh God, I'm
That's the
getting chills.
song. That's what I was talking. Yes.
Yeah, when he sat and he played that piano, and Charlie Hodge was standing over him, I know it was all Charlie could do not to cry, because of obviously, the condition that he was in.
Time goes by.
His voice never sounded better. It was deeper and even fuller, and he sounded incredible. And that's when you have to say, let's get over how handsome he was. Of course, he was an incredibly handsome man, gorgeous man. God gave him every gift. But at that point, let's get over that and say, look at the incredible artist that he was, even when he was ill and he wasn't feeling well, and he knew it. Look how deep he struggled to from way deep down inside to deliver those lyrics and sing from his heart. I don't know that anybody else could have done it. Anybody else probably wouldn't have gone on stage, period. But he
No.
did.
Lonely rivers cry, wait for me.
If you want to see this episode unedited, uncut, please join our All Access Backstage Pass in Patreon. Plus, check out Mindi Miller, January 22nd to the 29th. Mindi will be on the tribute cruise. Stories of Elvis she'll share with you on that boat. I'll make sure the links are down there. But until then, everybody, it's only rock and roll, and we like it. And right after this outro, check the box that pops up here for some other great episodes. And make sure you hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss any future episodes. Until then, who loves you, baby? We do. Now get out of here, you crazy kids.